When we got divorced, my son was 6. I fought for 50-50 custody of my kid. I got visitation, and my ex got child support. I kept a good relationship with my son. We spent time together, and I helped him figure out his life. He does not have a dedicated room in my home, but he does use the guest room. I remarried and started a new family. My son was part of it. He has spent time with us, and we go on vacations together with him. His brother and sister love him, and he is a great role model for them. He also cares deeply for them. My son is 16 now, and he is kind of a pain in the butt. I was much worse at his age. He's doing well in school, and we're looking forward to him graduating and going to university. My wife and I got him an old, but safe, car for his birthday. It's great because now he can drive over here to see me on our weekends together. His mom met a guy a while back, and I guess 2 months ago he moved in with her. He doesn't get along with my son. I checked with my ex because I did not want only one side. My kid is respectful towards her boyfriend. He just doesn't feel the need to obey him. This is causing problems in their house. A month ago, I got home from work to find my wife, my ex, and my kids were waiting for me. My wife had already sort of warned me on my way home. My ex said that my son was fighting in her house and she was done. So he had to come live with me. She then left. My kid had all his stuff in his car. He looked like he was going to cry. I don't know if it was from sadness, rage, or shame. I came in and we talked. Sorry, some of this is private. My wife and I agreed that he could stay in the guest room until we had time to figure out something more permanent. We're using this as incentive to finally finish the basement. I used the money for child support to buy stuff for his room. My dad and my new father-in-law are helping out while I'm at work. They installed a full bathroom with a shower and have put up walls for the bathroom in his new room. My ex just figured out that I have not paid child support for 2 months. She is pissed and is threatening to go to court. I guess she thought that she was just going to scare him, or we would not be okay with him staying here. She says that I am the a-hole for thinking that she really wanted him to move out. I do have court-mandated child support, but if she basically kicked him out, I kind of need to support him. He says he does not want to live there with her new boyfriend. Legally, she could make him. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Hey, sorry I posted then went to work. To answer some questions and alleviate everyone's concerns. 1. My divorce kind of screwed me over. I had an apartment and my son used my bed and I slept on the couch when I had him. After I got married, my wife and I worked hard and we got a better apartment together. We had 2 rooms and one was his. Then we got pregnant. Her parents and mine helped us out and we rented a small house, a bungalow with 3 rooms. We had a guest room because my sister came to stay with us and help for a while because it was a tough birth. When he came over, he got the couch since he didn't have a permanent room. When my wife went back to work, we saved up and got a house with 4 bedrooms. Easier time with the second kid. So we do have overnight guests a fair bit, and my son does not always spend the night. So yes, for the 6 or 7 nights a year I got him, he didn't have a dedicated room. 2. My lawyer knew about my son being at my house the day after it happened. My butt is covered. Not the a-hole, but you need to go through court and have things sorted out there. She kicked him out. You don't do that unless you mean it. Her excuse of just trying to scare him is not okay. She's just wanting to keep the money, it sounds like. Not the a-hole, but I do strongly urge going back to court to get custody and child support amended to reflect the new situation of him being with you. Make sure the court knows that she essentially kicked him out. Well, you owe the child support because there is a current order. You need to take her back to court to get it dropped. I don't think a court is going to tell a 16-year-old that he has to go back to his mom's after she dropped him off at his dad's. But do it before you get in big trouble for being behind on your support. It sucks because you are using the money to support your son. Me and my husband come from poor families. No shame in that, although my husband would occasionally lie about our financial situations and say we own things we don't, or buying things we obviously cannot afford. His lies don't last eventually, which makes not just him look bad, but me as well, as he'd get me to take part in his lies. He's done this to family members and my own family. He recently got a job at a respectful company and quickly made friends with classy, well-off coworkers. He invited his coworkers, who are now his friends, for dinner at a great restaurant and borrowed money to afford a table. I told him it's useless to act like he's well off and there was nothing to be ashamed of for being poor. He brushed me off and insisted I borrow something nice from my neighbor to wear to dinner. I agreed to go, but told him if he tried to lie, then I won't back him up. He again brushed me off. We arrived at the restaurant and met up with his new friends. Once we sat down, he started lying about how much the suit he borrowed from his cousin cost, and then lied about the car we came in, which was an Uber, but he lied by pointing at some random car in the parking lot, saying it was his, and doesn't drive it to work. I got really uncomfortable with this much lying from him. I kept giving him signs to stop, but he doubled down and started talking about where we live. He said we own a house in a known rural area and talked about the garden he grows in the backyard, the pool, and the Persian furniture. His friend seemed interested when he mentioned Persian furniture and said his wife likes it too. His friend asked if they could arrange to visit us in our house, which freaked me out because we live in a small rental apartment. I looked at my husband, but he looked calm, smiled, and said he will make it happen. I lost it. I bluntly asked, "What house? We don't own a house. We live in a small rental apartment in XXX area." Everyone went quiet. My husband looked at me shocked. He was speechless, but the look in his eyes were saying, "What the heck?" It got so awkward I excused myself to the restroom and my husband followed me. Once we got away from everyone, he blew up, asking what was the matter with me. I argued with him about how his lies got out of control. He laughed at me, saying I was out of my mind to do that and expose him in front of his new friends. I told him he lied about where we live. How did he think he'd cover a lie this big is beyond. He lashed out, saying he would have figured something out, but now I blew his chances and made him look bad in front of them. I got mad. I said I wanted to leave, but he said we couldn't leave before them, otherwise they'll discover he lied about the car. I told him he could wait. I was done having to hide who I am, as there's nothing to be ashamed of. I apologized to them and left. He kept arguing after he came home, saying I messed up and shouldn't have said what I said and exposed him like that. He's been sulking since then. Not the a-hole. Your husband should not be lying like that. He sounds like a compulsive liar. He would likely benefit from therapy. Continue to keep your integrity by not supporting his lies. He's already altered your family's view of you due to the dishonesty. Don't allow him to ruin any other relationships for you. Good luck. Not the a-hole. Your husband is a chronic liar, and it sounds like you've been gently enabling it up to this event. Here's my question. If he lies with so much facility to affect the perception of others, how can you be sure he's been completely honest with you? You made him look bad? Oh, honey, your husband is a liar. He's making up a whole house, and the contents therein was way beyond, hey, go borrow a nice outfit for the dinner so you can pretend to have a more expensive wardrobe. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Not the a-hole. My daughter, Rachel, married her childhood sweetheart, Logan. We were family friends at church. My husband and I always hoped that our daughter would marry an amazing Christian man. We were even happier when she started dating Logan. They began dating in middle school, and they broke up briefly in their senior year of high school. Full disclosure, they broke up because each of them cheated on each other. The two were engaged at 18 years and were married at 20. From the outside, they were the perfect couple. But this reality crumbled before me when Logan came to our house one night. He had told me Rachel had been having an affair for a year, and he caught them in the act in their bed. I could hardly believe my ears. I told him I would fix it. Rachel's father and I were so disappointed that we didn't allow her to move home. I stayed in close contact with Logan, reminding him of our love for him and that love conquers all. He was willing to work on the marriage, but eventually Logan became non-compliant and stopped answering my messages, which upset me. One day he told me, "I'm not Rachel's husband anymore. That ship has sailed." What Logan fails to remember is he is legally Rachel's husband, and matters that concern me about her should concern him too. Logan still filed for divorce only a month later. Rachel is now living with the man she cheated with, but I was still convinced there was hope for people to show Rachel the proper course of action. But it gets much worse. I found out through one of my other children that Logan has a new girlfriend who has moved in with him, while he is still legally married to Rachel. I am so disappointed in each of them for breaking the sacred bond of marriage. Would I be the a-hole if I took measures further and stage an intervention? My idea is to reserve a dining room for the two of them, filled with their wedding pictures and childhood photos together. I feel as if they saw each other again, they would be reminded that love conquers all and that the marriage could be saved. Next, all of their family and friends will each weigh in on the sacredness of marriage. We may decide to read some scriptures and powerful quotes about love. My husband is on Logan's side. I'm so saddened that I do not have my husband's support. He thinks I'm going way too far, but many of my friends think it's perfectly appropriate to give it one more shot. So all that being said, would I be the a-hole? Yup, you would be the a-hole. That relationship is dead. She cheated on him twice. How do you expect him to trust or respect her anymore? It is impossible to have a healthy relationship without trust. Let them do the mature adult thing and move on from an irreparable mess. This is one of many reasons why it's not a good idea to push people to marry young. They haven't finished growing and often lack the self-knowledge to choose a partner who fulfills their needs. Because they're still growing, it's not uncommon for them to grow apart. It's not your marriage. You need to mind your own business. There's nothing to save here anyway. You're the a-hole. This is literally none of your business. Your daughter ruined the marriage by cheating. She lives with her affair partner. What on earth makes you think this is fixable? He filed for divorce and moved on like he should. You need to accept that your daughter isn't the woman you think she is, want her to be. Leave Logan alone. You would be the a-hole, and honestly, the extent to which you're involving yourself here is just creepy. You can't try to force other adults to do what you want them to because of your religious fanaticism. You raised a cheater, and you're going to have to come to terms with that and let her soon-to-be ex-husband get on with his life with someone better. The party was 2 months ago, but this is still coming up, so I just want to get some external opinions. In February, it came out that my father had a child out of marriage. Let's call him Ollie, and Ollie is 24. It was a shock since no one expected it, but we took the tests and he is Dad's son. He's an okay guy, but I grew up with 3 siblings, and they were the only siblings I'll ever know, so we don't have much of a relationship, but I acknowledge him, and we get along when we see each other. June 18th is my father's birthday, and what would have been my parents' 50th anniversary. My mother had been really looking forward to this milestone while he was alive, so we planned this small party to celebrate what would have been 50 years of marriage and his birthday. Just a nice lunch with my aunt, uncles, and grandmother, as well as a visit to his grave. My sister told Ollie about the plan, and he asked to be involved since we're celebrating Dad's birthday. The problem is that my mother is still struggling to accept him, the fact that Dad cheated. She's in therapy for this, and since this was a dual birthday and wedding anniversary, inviting the kid he had out of marriage seems like adding salt to the wound, so I said no, he couldn't be involved in the party. However, we can make arrangements to go to the grave as siblings with him afterwards, and then have dinner together on me since he is Dad's son in the end. My sister told me Ollie was offended and mad at me for treating him like an outsider, and tried to come gate crash, but my husband saw him outside and just asked him not to. I only found out about this afterwards. Him and my 2 sisters ended up going to the grave alone after everything ended and have dinner without me. I understand where he's coming from, but also believe I made a fair compromise under the circumstances. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He tried to invite himself to the party you're arranging. That makes him the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your poor mother is having to come to terms not only with her husband's death, but his horrible betrayal. Their 50th anniversary and his B-Day is not the time and place for the embodiment of that betrayal to impose himself. Your dad is dead. He's not going to be there. The family your father betrayed are the ones in attendance. Your half-brother is an adult. He should be able to understand the overall issue and not expect your poor mom to be okay with this right now. Not the a-hole. You were doing something special for your mom. He didn't need to be involved. You made a fair compromise to include him in the birthday, dad part. They are definitely the a-hole for gate crashing when knowingly uninvited, and good catch on your husband for dealing with it and not causing drama during the party. You and your husband acted in your mom's best interest. My husband and I have 3 daughters, Evie, 16, Lola, 14, and Katie, 5. Evie is our biological daughter. We adopted Lola when she was 2, and we're fostering and planning to adopt Katie. I will be the first to admit that I don't spend nearly as much time with Lola as I do with Evie and Katie. Katie because she's 5, so I don't have the option to leave her at home very much. Plus, she has multiple appointments every week. And Evie because she doesn't mind coming along for all the kids' stuff with Katie. I do make a point to get one-on-one time with the girls. I take one girl out for breakfast every Saturday. We rotate who goes with me. Besides that, The only one-on-one time is going to be when they tag along for errands. For example, Katie goes to therapy twice a week. 9 out of 10 times, Evie comes with me. We drop her off, then get coffee and dessert while she's in therapy. When she has visits with her mom, Evie and I find something to do in the area. Lola has the option to go to all of these things, but chooses not to. She still gets upset that I don't bring her something back. I always tell her, you only get something if you go. Evie doesn't get anything when she doesn't go. There's also the issue of babysitting. Last year, Lola made it clear that she does not want to babysit at all. I told her that's fine. Evie doesn't mind babysitting and usually babysits 3 to 5 hours per week. I pay her $10 per hour, so she gets $30 to $50 per week on top of her allowance. Lola complains that it's not fair that Evie gets so much more than her just because she doesn't like kids. Lola gets an allowance for the chores that she does around the house, but I'm not going to pay her for not babysitting. Yesterday was Evie's turn to go out to breakfast with me, and Lola got mad at that too. She doesn't think Evie or Katie should get Saturdays since Evie gets one-on-one time when Katie has appointments, and Katie shouldn't because I'm always with Katie. I admit that I snapped at her because she's been complaining more than usual this week, and told her that she has to stop these tantrums. Evie gets more time with me because she chooses to go to appointments or visits with me. Evie gets more money because she chooses to babysit. Katie spends all day with me because she's 5. None of this is a slight to her, and the problem is completely due to jealousy from her own decisions. She's barely spoken to me yesterday and today, and my husband thinks I was too harsh. You're the a-hole for trying to prove your child is the a-hole, instead of figuring out why she is feeling neglected and doing something about it. You are an adult. You have a child who isn't mature enough to express her needs, and you want to put an a-hole label on her? Shame on you. You're the a-hole. She is clearly upset, and you're brushing it off. How many ways does she need to make it clear that she wants more time with you? I'd be jumping on that since at 14, she won't be a kid much longer. You're the a-hole. It's your job as the parent to meet your kid where they are, not expect them to always meet you where you are. Katie and Evie are currently meeting you where you are, but one day they won't. Will you ignore them like you ignore Lola? When Evie is no longer willing to go on errands or babysit, or when Katie is no longer 5, when they no longer fit into your routine at once. Lola is telling you she needs something different, and it's your job as parent to deliver it. Especially since Lola is adopted and has expressed she feels excluded. You need to step it up. You are excluding Lola because she doesn't fit into your routine the way the others do. It's ridiculous and narrow-minded that you expect all 3 to be the same. All have the same needs and perfectly fit into your wants and needs. Lola needs a different routine and different expressions of love and family. It's your job as parent to figure it out and at least try to give it to her.